Hello! Good morning everyone! Welcome to Ninja Turtles team presentation. In this video, we're going to present a graphic organizer that represents the attributes of 21st century teaching and learning, and also one of the Asian countries with the highest literacy rate. So guys, please be with us. This graphic organizer represents the attributes of 21st century teaching and learning. Presenting you the attributes of 21st century teaching and learning. First, we have literacy and innovative skills, knowledge-oriented, technology-driven, personalized learning, adaptive and lifelong learners, effective oral and written communication skills, collaboration and leadership skills, equity, diversity, and inclusivity. 21st century teaching and learning process is a developing learning literacy and life skills as part of the classroom experience for students. Learning skills encompasses critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication, and technologically literate individuals that has been identified as essential for adapting in this modern world or environment in which we are more modernized and the fast and increasing rate of innovations and technologies. That is the attributes of 21st century teaching and learning. And now, let's proceed to Asian countries with the highest literacy rate. The literacy rate is a measure of people's ability to sufficiently read and write within a population. According to the UNESCO Institute for Statistics, the global literacy rate among youth from the age 15 to 24 years of age was 91%, while the adults aged 15 years old and older was 86%. One of the highest literacy rate in Asian countries is Singapore. Singapore was the country with the highest youth literacy rate across the Asia-Pacific region in 2018 and 2019. The country demonstrated a youth literacy rate of 99.92%, beating the likes of China and Brunei to the top spot. Aside from the slight decline in 2020, Singapore was exhibit a constant increase of its literacy rate throughout the recent years. Singapore was one of the founding members of ASEAN when it was formed on the 8th day of August 1967, along with Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, and Thailand. As a small nation-state, Singapore strongly supports ASEAN goal of building a strong, prosperous, and role-based ASEAN. Singapore is the official Republic City of Singapore, also known as Lion City, Singapura. The Singapore dollar is the official currency of the island state of Singapore. It is abbreviated as SGD and is presented by the symbol S and dollar. The currency is issued by the country's central bank, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, since the 1985. One Singaporean dollar is equivalent to 0.71 US dollar. One Singaporean dollar is equivalent to 41.37 Philippine pesos.
Hello, Singapore has 4 official languages. These are the Malay, Tamil, Chinese, and English. Based on the statement of the Prime Minister's office on October 1st, 1965, that these 4 languages became an official because it is right and good for the country and their people, not because of the particular large percentage of the population to support it. Thus, their common and national language is Malay, while English is being used to unite different ethnic groups for the country. They're called Singlish language. It is a mix of English with other languages. Sometimes the phrases can end la, le, a. Singapore has 20 and more languages. These are the English, Tamil, Malay, and Chinese as their official languages. There are also Cantonese, Hokkien, Hainanese, Vietnamese, Teochew, Indonesian, Japanese, Punjabi, Korean, Urdu, and also Arabic, Farsi, Armenian, Bengali, Hebrew, Hindi, Telugu, Thai, Yiddish, Dutch, French, Portuguese, German, Spanish, and Filipino. The language instructions that they are used is English. It is the predominant language used in all schools for the most Singaporeans since the 1970s. And also, this language is unites the different ethnic groups and it is widely used outside the country. This language is also used in formal setting, but children also taught their native and common language, which is the Malay, in order to preserve their tradition and culture. These are the percentage of ethnic group in Singapore. The Chinese has 74.3% and Malay has 13.5% and the India has 9% as resident population. As citizen population, Chinese has 75.9%, the Malays has 15% and the Indians have 7.5%.
The current population of Singapore is 5,977,449 based on the projections of the latest United Nations data. However, the UN estimates the July 1, 2022 population at 5,975,689. The type of government that Singapore has is a unitary parliamentary republic. It refers to a unitary state with a republican form of government, in which the political power is vested in and entrusted to the parliament with confidence by its electorate. The The name of the agency who took care of Singapore's education is the Ministry of Education, or the MOE. It develops and puts into practice educational policies pertaining to curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment, as well as educational structure. It is responsible for managing and advancing all government-funded educational institutions, including universities, polytechnics, and the Institute of Technical Education. Moving on to the number of primary schools in Singapore, both private and public. In 2020, there were 180 active primary schools in Singapore. Next, the number of educational higher institutions, state colleges or universities in Singapore. So the estimated number of educational higher institutions, including state colleges or universities in Singapore, is 34, of which 6 are national and 6 autonomous government universities.
Okay, let's proceed to the annual education budget of Singapore. In 2020, government expenditure on education was approximately 582 million Singapore dollars. Singapore needs to invest in its education system as it relies on a skilled and educated workforce to support its economy. In 2020, the government expenditure on tertiary education in Singapore was around 4.9 billion Singapore dollars. Tertiary education in Singapore included universities, the National Institute of Education, and polytechnics. Next is percentage of education budget to their national budget. Singapore public spending on education, or total percent of GDP. Government expenditure on education in Singapore was reported at 2.50% in 2020, according to the World Bank collection of development indicators compiled from officially recognized sources. Singapore public spending on education, total percent of GDP, the actual values, historical data, forecasts, and projections were sourced from the World Bank of September on 2022. Let's proceed to the overall literacy rate of adults for the last 30 years. As shown in the chart, in year 1990, 89.9% of adults in Singapore can read and write. Overall literacy rate of male adults for the last 30 years in 1990 was at 95.9% of male adults can read and write. Overall literacy rate of female adults for the last 30 years in year 1990 was at 83.27% of female can read and write.
Next, we have Singapore's school structure. The growing number of children in Singapore are attending pre-nursery or play school education before the age of 4, though this is optional. Many children in Singapore attend nursery for 1 year at the age of 4, and still it is optional. Then by the age of 5, most children will be attending kindergarten for 2 years. Then, 6 years of primary school, followed by 4 to 6 years of secondary school. Then 2 years of junior college, followed by 3 years of pre-university and 3 years of polytechnic. And then, 3 to 5 years of university of their choice. Next is the length of academic calendar. It consists of 2 semesters and a special term. Each regular semester includes 13 weeks of instruction and 2 weeks of end-of-semester examinations. There are 2 consecutive mini-semesters in each regular semester. The first mini-semester comprises 6 weeks of instruction, 1 week break, and 1 week of examinations. The second mini-semester comprises of 6 weeks of instruction, 1 week break, and 2 weeks of examinations, which is the same period as the end of the semester examinations. Special term takes place during the semester 2 vacation period. It comprises of 2 parts, each of which lasts 6 weeks and is exclusive of an examination period. Next is the teacher-students ratio. Students-teacher ratio in secondary school, Singapore 2012-2020. In 2020, the ratio of students to teachers was 11.9 students to every teacher. Next is the future plan for their education. Singapore's education system aims to bring out the best in every child. They seek to nurture the whole child and develop them into lifelong learners with an enduring core of competencies to thrive in the 21st century. There are multiple educational pathways catered to different strengths and interests of every student. Lastly, here are Singapore's top 10 universities. That will be all. We hope you learned a lot from this video.